Well, here we are, chapter 45 of DC Alliance Podcast. I'm Travis, Travis underscore 156 on Twitter, and I'm joined by another guest host this week, Chris Belga from Marvel Alliance and World's Finest True Believers. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing good. This is, I guess, technically the quote unquote the first day of spring break for me. So I still have to work. So I go into the office, but it's a lot quieter. I can get a lot of work done. And
Nice.
started spring cleaning and closets and got 3 rooms done of stuff. So I still got a few more things to do.
And finding toys along the way, I see from our group chat.
Apparently, I had 2 Star Wars toys that an unmasked Darth Vader and a Luke Skywalker and Endor gear with his green saber.
Nice. I wish I could find things like that.
Yeah. Somehow survived a lot of moves.
Pristine, still in packaged.
Exactly.
I really like that. Before we get into what we're going to talk about here today, and before the network plugs, I got to talk about. I listened to the most recent episode of World's Finest True Believers this week, where Chris and Clay interviewed Joe Henderson. And if you're not a comics fan, you may know him from being the showrunner of Lucifer.
Co-showrunner.
Yeah, co-showrunner of Lucifer. And if you do know him, the Skyward and Shadecraft books is what he's done. Yep. And I didn't know a thing about him before this interview. And I got to say, first of all, I'm a Joe Henderson fan now. Just loved his attitude, his positivity. And you could hear his passion about, especially the books, the comic books, and just the genre. And I thought you and Clay did a bang up job with that. So I just want to commend you. That was great. And listeners, if you haven't, I don't know how you don't listen to World's Finest True Believers every week, but if you don't, please give that a listen because it's great. If you're a fan of Lucifer, I haven't watched the show yet. Loved his cameo in the crossover, which they talk about a little bit here, which I really enjoyed. There was some nuggets here. I was like, oh, awesome. Like to hear about Tom doing Lucifer in the morning, then flying just to make it into the crossover. I love stuff like that. That makes me so happy. So just wanted to say, listeners, please check that out. But Chris, you and Clay's not on here, but bravo, sir. That was a job well done.
No, you're right. He's a lot of fun, and I look forward to having him back on soon as he gets deeper into Shadecraft. Maybe doing a Lucifer retrospective once it ends, because I know that show has been near and dear to his heart.
Allison actually asked me to check that out too, Lucifer. So I think that might be maybe the next show because honestly, I know there's a big fad of Bridgerton. She watched whole season 1 in the last day and a half. I know a lot of people like the show.
It hasn't entered my wife's stuff yet, and I hesitate to even mention it in this house.
It's sheer and utter nonsense to me. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest, like I was not sat down next to her on the couch. Like, I was doing work. I'm like learning online, obviously. So I'm working where I'm almost at the end of my term now. So it's a little bit jam packed. But like, just to glance over and everything, it was like I don't even understand how like one conversation clears up any and all of the tension in the show. So it was just a little weird for me, but. Just wanted that was my little review of Bridgerton from sitting at the coffee table and looking over towards my girlfriend watching it. But yeah, that's not why we're here. I'm going to get network plugs out of the way. Quick and painful. Joking, quick and painless. On Mondays is World Finest True Believers with Chris Belga. On Tuesdays is DC Alliance with myself and Greg. On Wednesdays is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. On Thursdays is a trio of shows. Slice of Film with Katie and guest, Ranger Alliance with Clay and rotating guest, and Star Wars Alliance, which went live a few hours ago, usually on Thursday as well, with Katie and Nathan. On Fridays is Superhero Discussions with myself and Greg, and on Saturdays and Sundays is Weird Science Comics DC and Marvel Roundup. And before I get into the Patreon, Chris, let the listeners know about a little schedule shakeup that we're going to have soon with your show.
Yeah, we for those of you that listen to World's Finest True Believers, outside of this week should have been a retro, but it was a good drop with Joe's book dropping last week, Shadecraft, so we decided to drop it this week. And so next week we'll still continue a regular new episode, but as you know, usually it's every other week a new episode, so I've been putting in the retro since the show joined the network to give new people who have never heard World's Finest when it was on its own feed a chance to kind of catch up with, as I say in the intro, the golden oldies. But we've only got 3 retros left, finally coming to the end of that. And so as of, let me look at my schedule here, as of effective May 31st, that will be when Ranger Alliance will move to Mondays. So it'll still new World's Finest will be every other week. And so on the weeks that World's Finest is not going to have a new episode, that'll be Ranger Alliance. And that will start effective May 31st.
Nice. So, listeners, we've had talked about this once or twice before, but just going to keep hammering in more so for my benefit, so I can remember it, because I'm going to fumble it a couple times. I'm absolutely going to. I know that it's just, even if I write it down, I'm going to do it just force of habit. But it's pretty cool. I've been loving the retros. Even when I listen to them, I always listen to them again, except the Invincible one, because I want to read the book first. So I have it.
You've got homework
there. I got homework, and after talking to Chris, and thanks, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
But yeah, okay. So we also, after all that, we have a Patreon account, $1 tier, which is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing, and you just like to help out. And the $5 tier is where you get your bonuses, you get your ad-free episodes, you get your early access to episodes, and you get your Patreon exclusives just for your ad-free episodes. After listening to your interview, I had to go get Wendy's, because that was the only ad there for all my ads was Wendy's. So you're like, go get Wendy's now, Travis. So essentially, I went to get Wendy's because of your ad. So it's working. People,
no Tim Hortons. They can't be. No. They can't. Nope.
Roll up the rim, end it yesterday. So I think it's kind of getting that. But thank you for my free month of Crave TV, where I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, because that was from that contest.
Nice. Yeah, if you're a patron and hasn't checked it out yet, you should have seen last night drop that was recorded yesterday afternoon. Our early access to Godzilla versus Kong with myself. This is gonna be a slice of film one. So it's Katie, myself, Clay, and Joe going on and talking about our takes on Godzilla versus Kong. So patrons, you have early access to that. It will officially drop in the feeds this Thursday. So, but patrons, you get early access and ad-free access to that episode right now.
And also, there is a early access to Superhero Discussions as well. Joe joined me. He will be on this Friday, but it's up early for the patrons, and it was quite fun. Joe actually told me before we talked, he said, I'm more about the nitpicking. Like, I enjoy nitpicking and making fun episodes. I hope this is okay. And I just thought to myself, this couldn't have worked out more perfect, because Travis Snell came on to talk about the Demon's Quest 2-parter. That was very serious. And the final 4 episodes, at least 2 of them, honestly, if you were to tell me to pick 5 episodes to take away from the show that you didn't need, they would fall in there. So it was really fun with Joe picking them out and kind of nitpicks and kind of laughing about the old times. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to find my way into Superhero Discussions, if not for Mask of the Phantasm. You've already done my ultimate favorite with Heart of Ice, but
Over the Edge.
Yeah, Over the Edge, yes, Over the Edge.
The fun thing about that is Greg has no idea that's coming, and I really hope he doesn't clue in that it's clue in. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, I think we should jump into the show, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And first and foremost, we have another trailer that I was not expecting for the Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
It was, I was not expecting it. And honestly, before we were going to look at the trailer here, I enjoyed it more than the first one. I really liked the first one as well, but found it was more story and a little bit more grounded, a little less like one-liners coming at me a little bit more. I don't know. It felt like a little bit more grounded.
It was interesting just because, again, I think we got word when Godzilla versus Kong had dropped. You had shared a tweet for someone that had recorded it, and they must have had a big heads up, because that was pretty much the whole trailer on camera. And I was like, okay, is this an international trailer? Because we know sometimes we get international trailers that are a different cut of it. But apparently it's not. It was a completely, green bar, quote unquote, fit for all audiences trailer. And it is very different from the first one, besides being Red Band at that point. As you said, the first one's a lot more leaning into the humor. This one has a little balance to it. It doesn't get rid of the humor, but there's certain things that obviously, one of the infamous ones with the penises on the, the beach that was not included, but it doesn't change. It's still James Gunn. It's still James Gunn. It's still that it is. And I like both trailers because it presents what James Gunn is known for doing these types of action movies, but also he throws in his kind of, brand of humor. So,
yeah, I don't know. I think it got me. I really enjoyed the other trailer as well, but I want to commend James Gunn because he did point out that they were going to put out this other version of a trailer anyway, because with Red Band they want to put out another one like to put in theaters, all that jazz. So instead of just not having anything to do with it, he made sure that it was substantially different, because he was like, if it's going to be another trailer, I don't want it to be just 90 seconds of the 3-minute trailer. So I want it to be its own thing. So props to him for that, because it's very easy, and it is done a lot, like a la Deadpool. The Red Band trailer is awesome, but the regular trailer is pretty much the Red Band trailer with just a couple things taken out. So I want to commend him on that, because it is vastly different from the other one.
It is, and it definitely is one that I could see. It seems to be, if you really like the first one, people seem to be like, I'm not sure about this one. But if you didn't like the first one, you love this one. It's quite interesting. I'm one of the weird ones that say I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah, and I enjoy them both, but I do have a preference. But like I said, either way this movie turns out, or I think it could be both. I think we're going to be jumping back and forth between seriousness and insanity.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm all on board for that, and I think we should have a look at this trailer.
Yep, definitely. So the sound will be off, ladies and gentlemen. I've gone closed captioning, so let me add this to the stream. And I'm going to go widescreen. Does this look good for you, buddy?
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to hit play.
And I do love the voiceover at the start here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it gives it a bit more of a serious tone for me instead of the comedy toilet bowl thing, even though I really enjoyed that joke as well. And
we get it. I like the intros of all kind of most of our main players. Ratcatcher 2, excuse me. I look forward to hearing what happened to Ratcatcher 1.
See, this makes me think that there's going to be a mission at the start that goes really awry.
Mm-hmm.
And they change up the whole, we only have a couple of the...
Well, I'm going to pause right here. All right?
Yeah.
We've got, let's see if I can. Okay. All right. So we've got Harley, we've got Boomerang, we've got Blackguard, we've got Savant, TDK.
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion. It is it is a takeoff on Arms Fall Out Boy, which I think it's going to be the detachable kid. He just says it's going to be TDK. I think he's going to be the one that's going to be bites it at one point early on, and his own arms are going to be used to beat him to death. And probably either Harley or one of the other people are going to be carrying the arm with him as a weapon later on.
Oh, that's a good call. That's definitely when we'll see it a little bit later in this trailer when he when he uses his effect, his ability. It's honestly, I don't even understand how that's thinking you a lot on your squad.
That's what I think that it would be really cool, and it would be on brand. We got Weasel, we got Mongal, and we got Javelin. We got 2 blank spots, so we can fill in the blanks. We got Bloodsport that's not on there, and King Shark. Polka Dot Man's not on this list. So it's very interesting of where this fits in the movie.
Yes, because especially we see Polka Dot Man, and that seems like Waller's trying to do a mission with basically the last of what she has left. Because if you look at the roster.
Yeah, but again, this could be the beginning before we get, before she brings in more, because we don't know who else is going to make it throughout. I love how Waller's just sitting in a chair all smug.
You're just happy, yeah.
hand.
And Sly Stallone for that was just I had a question for you too. They did Gunn did say that that they used this because it was hard to get the Hammerhead, but the shot like Hammerhead of the Shark. Do you think that it was just as much because of the popularity of him in Harley Quinn show? Because honestly, I think that could have been a factor.
Yeah, I think it was good. I don't, again, we have the differences between the CW and this version. I'm fine with both. This one, I think it does play a factor into it. It was very, very popular, but I think just go back down. Ridiculous.
Yeah, we got to.
This looks. If I'm just missing it. Oh,
he just detaches his hands. Like.
And I'm just screwing up left and right on trying to pause this.
What can that do? Oh man, I just love it. That's just pure James Gunn insanity. Just like Weasel licking the wall.
Yeah.
Just look at that. Like I had no idea this character until this.
Yeah, it is. He's one of the first Legionnaire rejects.
I can see why.
Yeah, he telepathically controls his arms. So again, he's going to be beaten to death with his own arms, and one of them, Harley, someone is going to, or King Shark may eat one of the arms. Someone's going to use one of the arms later on.
Yeah, I got the exact same face, Harley. Like, what are you contributing to our group here?
Now I want to know who shoots King Shark, because it obviously looks like Bloodsport, but it's not.
I also really think after listening to seeing James Gunn tweet, I think that Ratcatcher 2 is going to be like a major player in this, potentially the one that could save the day because her power set is so ridiculous.
Yeah, I think as we've seen before, I think TDK is going to bite it early. He's going to be he's going to be our new Slipknot.
So Mangal, can you explain a little bit more for me on her?
I did not do my research beforehand.
I didn't. I just assume it's related to Mangal.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
all our powers. Yeah. Oh, and this
the Thinker.
This was a really funny scene in the other trailer too. King Shark's just standing there.
And I know the artist or the writer of who created that version of the Thinker was kind of saying, it's cool. I'm probably not going to get credit for it.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's the same thing with the Winter Soldier stuff. It's so tough to see, like, to not see people get their just due, because part of me is like, I shouldn't even support this. So, yeah, lots of silly Nathan, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, you get what you pay for at that point. They know what they're getting with Gunn, and he has leaned and has made no illusions that he is a fan, and this is very much a homage to and taking lifts from the Ostrander run, which is
he's in the movie.
Yeah, he's the one putting in to Savant's brain bomb at that point. So which is cool, but again, that whole sequence where they're in the auditorium and getting their briefing at that point, that's Ostrander.
I'm all here for it, Chris. This is this is my jam. I love this kind of stuff. I really enjoyed both Guardian movies. I don't pretty much all the comic properties James Gunn. Well, those two comic properties, and I have no less confidence I won't love the third Guardians either.
Probably my favorite James Gunn is Brightburn, even though he's anything like it, that he touches, because he produced it at that point. Yeah, I don't think he directed it though.
No, but it was my god. Yeah. Especially for the money that they spent, it was fantastic. And here he's just letting loose and just being told James Gunn, and I'm out here for it. That's what they hired him for. That's what they brought him in for, and I think this is perfect property for it. And I even though we haven't seen much from John Cena, I'm still like a John Cena fan and really interested.
He's good for this. Yeah, the director of Brightburn was David Yarbreski, and James Gunn was one of the producers. So he's not the director of it, but is kind of like his idea. Yeah, it is. So I've enjoyed most of James Gunn's movies at that point. like Guardians 1 a little bit better than Volume 2, but this is going to be good. I think that with this movie, he's been very open of how much fun he's had, and dare say even more fun than Guardians. Not saying he didn't have an enjoyable time with Guardians and enjoy the cast. I think of how he got to that point of directing. He felt he was given, it looks like he's been given free reign to do as much as he wants at that point. And this doesn't look like anything but a James Gunn movie.
And I think that working for Marvel didn't do anything but help him. Like help him maybe not go full insanity, maybe learn like the rope back some things, but I'm sure there were some notes from people from some things, like obviously. And I just think that like I don't have anything against the MCU, and I think that working for them, it doesn't do anything but enhance your abilities. And I think he's brought that here, and I couldn't be more excited. And the fact that he's so engaging, so excited about this property, that stuff gets me really excited. I have a question for you about the movie though. After seeing Starro, I really think we're getting several of the villains we've seen. I even think that we could get a like mission go awry, and Starro will be controlling some of the members of the squad when we get the climax scene.
Yeah, I think it'd also be cool to see if we get a mention maybe of a Starro controlling one of the League's members.
Yeah, like there's been rumors.
Well, I mean, we know the video game is going to basically be that. So, and
there's rumors abound of that person that's in the video game that we see showing up in this movie as well. But I'm not buying that at all. I'm not buying that rumor.
Hey, you don't buy it until it happens, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited about this.
Did you catch what was on the back of Harley's vest?
No.
It said underneath, like I can't remember what's on top, but underneath it says "Kill Clowns."
Oh, nice. Love it. I love that she hates Joker. It's just perfect. Like that's one thing that I hate. That's one thing I didn't like as much watching the Batman the Animated Series, that she doesn't eventually just give him the boot because of how terrible he treats her.
Oh, you get that in Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So we get the natural progression of and you get that in comics too. Obviously, they just went on. There's this character. I keep in mind that this character was created in that show. So like that, especially at the time back then. But just to see what she's become now, and obviously she's pretty much my favorite from the squad, if I don't count Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Yeah, it's interesting how you get characters like that, like X-23 from Marvel was created for X-Men Evolution and then got put into the comics.
Yeah, and that's that's a great show as well. God. had to get me stuck
just sneaking a little bit of Marvel on you.
I love them all. I couldn't be more happy about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like what a last month with ending of WandaVision and Zack Snyder's Justice League and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Oh man, like remember the times when it was just Smallville?
Yes, I do. That was must-watch TV for me.
Yeah, same here. I went through the whole saga of Smallville while it was on. I think that's it for this trailer, Chris. So if you were to pick, I know you say you like both equally. You like both. If you were to have to pick one of the two, which one? I think it's the Red Man one. I'm thinking it's the Red Man one.
No, I think the this one edges it out. This one, the Red Band, you had a little more blood and guts at that point, but also the jokes were jokes at that point, and but you got enough of them in there. I think this one struck a better balance.
Yeah, I agree. Like the island joke.
But I get why they put out the Red Band first, because again, Gunn wanted to go for shock value. The studio wanted to go and show it out there, and it succeeded in what it did.
Didn't it break records and get 151 million views? So mission accomplished. That's you put out trailers to generate interest, and that's clearly what it did there. And I like the other trailer a bit more than the first one, but I enjoy both of them, and I'm super excited for this movie. After Godzilla vs. Kong came out, I'm a little worried because when Wonder Woman 84 came out, I could go watch that movie at any point in time for the first week it was out. There was no issue. There was maybe 2 or 3 people had seats. Here now, it goes until Wednesday. I've checked so far from Thursday to Wednesday, you get 1-2 seats available, which is astonishing for here. I'm blown away because that doesn't happen very often. Now we have limited capacity, so you got to keep that in mind. But still.
I haven't even checked if my theaters are open yet. They might be. I just haven't had to check but no. I mean, I'm probably going to be right now. It's probably not going to be until Black Widow before I feel like I want to go to the theater.
Yeah, we live a little bit different circumstances here, listeners. At the time of Wonder Woman trailer, we didn't have any active cases. At the time of the Wonder Woman movie, sorry, and now we have one. So it's a bit different. I'm at an island, so it's a little bit easier to contain and cut off. So it hasn't been as frustrating. I've been able to get out to the movie theaters for the most part, although we did have a couple lockdowns where everything was shut down. So, but yeah, I was just surprised that so many people were going to see that movie compared to the DC movie Wonder Woman that I did see twice in theaters. And the second time there was nobody there, and that was within 1 week. Whereas I can't get in to see Godzilla vs. Kong unless I sit in a seat that I don't like, and I'm not going to do that. That's not going to be my first time watching that movie. So just playing it a little bit more, waiting a little bit more because I do want to see these masters kick ass on the big screen. But yeah, that was I don't know how I tangent off of Suicide Squad to that.
Chasing squirrels. That's what we do best.
Yes. So I think this is the perfect time as any to take the first ad break, Chris. As you like to say, these ads help keep the lights on here at the GUA. We don't know how loud the ads will be, so we're going to give you a quick 3 count to turn down that volume. 1, 2, 3. And we're back. Okay, Chris. Time to get into some DC news, and more importantly, something that happened today. I'm going to jump on right away, which is hashtag Deathstroke HBO Max, and that was trending today. At this point in time, it's over 80K in tweets, which I'd like to point out that Continue the Monsterverse didn't come close to that.
Yeah,
in Canada anyway, where I've seen. So this is rather impressive, and it seems to be started by Joe Manganiello himself, from what I see.
Yeah, he's been, for the, before a couple weeks before, Justice League. I wouldn't say a full month, but I'd say close to it. He had been, talking about it at that point, being more, and now, he's going on bigger, big name, even spots and interviews at that point. I mean, he's even bringing up, I think, on Good Morning America, and talking about how that he wanted to continue this part, how much work he had done in preparation for what was going to be Ben Affleck's The Batman, his Batman movie at that point. And I've always wanted a Deathstroke movie. Again, I love Deathstroke. Here's Mr. Deathstroke here, and Mr. McFarlane's lovely action figure. But in what little we saw of Joe in it, give it to me. We've been blessed with a lot. Pretty much, I have enjoyed almost pretty much every single interpretation that we've gotten recently with Deathstroke. It's been great to see the different interpretations of live action, but I want to see him, and he's doing what he's taking a page out of, Zack's playbook. Keep talking about it, keep drumming up support, and see what happens. He notices, he recognizes that this is a moment in time. If he doesn't try to capitalize it, he's going to regret it, just like he never had even a shot to do it before, because by the time we saw it, they were already moving on.
I watched actually an interview that he had. I want to say it was with ET, and he talked about just the saga since he got the role. Outrageous. He was he got that. All the Justice League cast members were there when he done the tests footage with Deathstroke and they were all looking at it and watching it and thinking it was so cool. He found out that Ben wasn't doing his movie anymore. He found out that they called him to tell him. First, they told him he was going to be taken out of the theatrical cut. Then they called him and told him, "You're back in it, but we've changed around the dialogue." Then they told him that he could have his own solo Deathstroke, and he found Gareth Evans, had a 4-hour conversation with him on Skype, had a plan, went in, nope, no more. Then he was supposed to be the main villain of the Suicide Squad movie, the sequel to the Suicide Squad movie, through 2 or 3 different scripts and rewrites, and then that wasn't happening. And he's like, I was over it then. I thought it was over. And then Zach called me after working with him in Army of the Dead, and he said, I'm back in. He said, I got to add a couple things, and now who knows? He said, but he kept pushing like $40 million. This could be done with $40 million budget. And Gareth Evans think The Raid and Slade meets Deathstroke. And Chris, like, I put out the quote tweet with the GIF, "Shut up, take my money." That's entirely how I am here.
Yeah. I don't think there's anyone that. I mean, I haven't seen it, but again, it's my timeline, so I know they exist at that point. But I don't see why they shouldn't do something like this. You know, I mean, for crying out loud, they greenlight cruddy movies all the time. I don't think they do it on purpose, but you know, it makes me wonder and scratch my head. Like, I'm not the one that said nobody wanted this. I'm not going to say that, because people do want some of these movies. It's just, you have a market. You have an idea that if people are going to see and want another Suicide Squad, even though what we got wasn't David Ayer's Suicide Squad, you know, right here, there we go. That's the only true one. But then we get James Gunn and we see very positive, for the most part, just, you know, people want to see this at that point. Deathstroke, you know, again, this could be a very good movie in so many different ways. I mean, I have enjoyed, I think when I came back into comics in college, my book, and I've said this on World's Finest, my book that got me back into it was Identity Crisis, and seeing that sequence where basically Slade, Deathstroke, destroys, takes out, and was able to combat every single League member that was going after him in epic fashion. That is what Slade does best. He knows he is basically Batman. He's evil Batman, but I think to a different level. You know.
Yeah, and you even hear Joe talk here about like he being Batman's equal and being stronger and faster than him in the movie, and that actually like taking Batman back. And I'm holding up my mug here because in 8 seasons of this show, the best villain was Deathstroke, and arguably one of the best characters was Deathstroke. And when he returned, it was probably the best 2 episodes of the season in season 6. Not talking about the season 3 return, because that was insulting to everybody that participated in that, actors and people watching. That was not what we wanted to see with the character, and really peed Manu Bennett. But he stopped being in the show because of this stuff.
The dumbest thing they could have ever done is like, oh, we can't have this. We can't have 2 of these. We have to. It's like, man, you really think the audience is really that dumb?
Yeah, you think that the audience sees an episode of Arrow that has a Suicide Squad on it, they're not going to go see the movie, or you think they may go see the movie even more because of that? Like, I'm pretty sure it's the latter of that. It blows my mind that they won't do this because of the price. This seems like a slam dunk for HBO Max that's looking for content. And even if WP Pictures doesn't do it, but that still makes me laugh because of the whole Joker situation. Like, did you not learn anything from that? You can take flyers on this. It's very like minimal when you're doing like $40-50 million budgets to give this a go and just see what it is. At the worst case, you have content on your HBO Max platform. It's just, he seems like the perfect one. And like you said, I just want to see him give it a go because you can tell he really just loves the character. No one would stick with the character this long if they didn't like.
Outside of Henry Cavill.
Yeah. But even he's at least got some movies like under his belt, whereas all Joe has is 2 scenes.
Yeah, but again, how that says a lot. in 2 scenes, that's what we able to get.
Well, like you said, if I don't include Smallville, the live action versions of Slade Wilson have been fantastic. Uh,
Mhm.
Arrows was great. Titans, fantastic. And I can't really say Joe Manganiello's fantastic as Deathstroke, but his look and just a little bit we've gotten is amazing. And I have no doubt that he wouldn't crush it, get and tell some
Oh, yeah.
backstory.
But like you said in the interviews, how deep he got into this role. Like he wanted to do this role right, the research, talking to people, getting the training, things like that. Like that is the actor that you want to be like, okay, let's give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen? You know, it doesn't perform as well, but it still performs. You know,
If that's the budget, Chris, it's very easy to at least make your money back, like break
Mhm.
even with just the promotion behind it and the releases. It will be good tests for the Restore the Snyderverse crowd as well.
But even if and here's the thing, even if it's connected or not connected,
Yeah,
I just want it.
same.
I want to see it. I want to see what he can do in a live action, because again, there's so many different directions you can go with this character. There's so many different storied runs with Deathstroke. You know, again, he's very connected, obviously, with the Teen Titans. You know, if you want to see, but we don't have them, quote unquote, yet in it. But you could find a way to do different things. You know, he's connected to in different iterations, the League of Assassins, League of Shadow. You know,
Well, in this one, not in this one, but in Zach's, he's in the League of Assassins because he has the thing on it. But like you said, and I just want to make a little PSA: we here at DC Alliance are not just for Zack Snyder's DC movies; we're for all DC movies. But when you tell there's a multiverse, we kind of take you at your word for that. If
we try
for people, yeah, we believe you. I trusted you. Yeah, but I just got to try this. It seems like this is one of those projects that eventually got to get done, but it's development and DC, which does not go hand in hand, Chris. It does not go hand in hand. There's a little tease to a future story that we'll get into, but since we're still playing in the Zack Snyder Justice League sandbox, I think we should talk about the deleted take from Snyder Cut's nightmare scene between Batman and Joker. We live in a society.
Yep.
And I love it. I wished it could have been in the movie, but like I understand why. But that line at the end about who screamed more, the girl or the guy, damn, that was great.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, someone asked me today, not in our group chat, saying, you know, which one do you prefer? And I said, I go back and forth because I've seen the movie now 4 times. I just finished it my 4th time watching it with my wife last night. I've seen Justice is Great once. I want to see it. I'll find a way to see it again. You know, I can see it whenever I want, but I'll definitely get another watch into it the next week or so. But it just depends. But I think both work very well. And at one moment I say that, oh, I really like, you know, we live in a society, or another moment I like that. I think they both hit very strong in what they were doing. And I love that we got to see it. I love that it was something that Zach put out there just because people were like, oh, it's one of those things like, oh, it's in the trailer, but it wasn't there. And even though it was an ad lib and it still worked.
I want to say that I'm pretty certain I've seen that he suggested it as a deleted scene for the like physical release, and they didn't even want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
shake my head.
Frustrating at times, but yeah,
but we have it out there. We have it to see. It's out there, and it was good. Again, both scenes work. I think this is one of those cases that you could take one, and if you like, I don't even know which one I slightly like more. I think they just both work for what it is. I just love the intensity of that moment, and just, you know, say, you know, the going back and forth is in when I do, because I will effing kill you. But I'll just keep this.
This one is more Joker. I think Joker gets more of the leg up because of what he says at the end, whereas in the one we saw, I feel like Batman has got the leg up because he almost actually tricked the Joker, and Joker acknowledges it.
Yeah, and I know on DC Shop they put out 2 new Joker T-shirts, and one of them has the card up say "Truth, Bruce."
And I just can't wait to see the numbers on all the merchandise, because the Darkseid Funkos came back into stock today.
Oh,
again. They didn't even get a chance to try to click buy now, and when I refreshed it was gone.
So happy I am not down that rabbit hole with Funkos. I'm looking, and it hasn't come out yet. I've got one more action figure to find for Zack Snyder's. It is Darkseid himself, because they have Uxas. They have Uxas, but it was a fully clothed, like armored up Darkseid. It has not. Whoever has it, whoever's got the exclusive on it, has not put it out there, because you can get all the figures at different locations. The helmet Cyborg is I don't know if it's still available, but it is or was a Walmart exclusive. I've got my pre-order locked in for that.
Nice.
And then Entertainment Earth had at least pre-orders. I think I've sold out. They come in and out from what I've been seeing. Entertainment Earth has the unmasked Bruce Wayne.
Ooh.
And so someone has it, and our buddy Scott from DC Films, we were saying whoever finds it is going to let the other one know. At that point, we're thinking maybe it's GameStop, but again, nothing yet. It could be another player at that point, but I'm really shocked that has not come out. That's the rabbit hole I'm going to go down. That's my last action figure, but
maybe he's allowed to come out now because of the news that we've got this week.
Stop it. Don't do that to me.
Yeah, I won't jump in on that yet. Before we go past the Zack Snyder's Justice League part of the show, we also got some concept art from the movie, and the thing that piqued my interest, people think is Wayne T. Carr as Green Lantern's John Stewart. I just thought that just to look, I know it's concept art, but a lot of times the concept art is, especially with Zach, pretty darn close to the concept art. You look at the concept art for the League, and when they're standing together, it doesn't look that far off of what we got. So I just sadness that we didn't get to see it. Now it's shot. It's a scene somewhere. Like, I have full confidence one day we'll see it. Like, if they tell Zach, you're not going to do any more DC movies ever, I feel like he'll just drop that one day, one Thursday.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
at like 2 o'clock.
I agree. I'm fully confident we will see a shot of it. I don't know if he can get out there the footage of it. Maybe at SnyderCon too.
Yeah,
SnyderCon too would be a nice place to drop that little gem for exclusively for people that attend. And I'm going to find some way, wherever that is. I'm going to definitely find some way to get out there, wherever it's going to be.
Yeah, and because you said SnyderCon 2, it did click a light bulb in my head. JusticeCon 2 just announced another round of guests, and it includes Joe Manganiello.
Yep,
so
that was the big drop today. They want to start off on a good note. Yeah, the Nerd Queens and Meg are, they're upping the ante tenfold with the next one, and that would be next week. Starts Friday next week.
As far as I'm concerned, they're trailblazers, because I think that the IGN Fan Fest, I think all that stuff, even though yes, DC Fandom came out as well, and that was planned on coming out, I think they all learned a bit from what Wonder Megan and Nerd Queens did with that, because that was pretty exceptional.
Oh yeah, no, I give them all the props for just giving us the opportunity and doing it. And as they said before, towards the end of it, they're saying, hey, this was because of COVID. People gave their time. We didn't have to do this, and it speaks to a testament of how good people they are, and how true they are, and that people could ever attack them because they didn't do it this way, or they go out there go out and do it on your own and see if you can do it better. Because right now their connections and what they're doing is pretty awesome, and they're giving the people that have helped keep the light burning for this movement at that point. Opportunities to not only be in this next one, but also be, panel interviews, things like that. I applaud everything that they've done, and I cannot wait to see how these next week when they drop this, because it's gonna be that much better.
Inclusivity, positivity.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for me. That's how great they are. They nail that, and there's not one bit of me when I watched Justice Con last year that ever in my mind ever thought like they should do this instead or this. All I thought was, wow, I can't get over how composed you are with these guests, whereas I would be, oh my god.
Well, they had those moments, but that's okay because they are fans. It's okay. I think that's what you should have. You shouldn't always hold those in, because it makes us feel like we're all connected. We're all here to do what's best. And they gave people platforms that never had platforms. They gave time to AFSP. They don't have to do that. They don't. But again, there is a purpose to this, and that is what this whole movement has been about at the very end of the day, of that saving lives. And so again, next week, starting Friday, I don't think they've announced the schedule yet. I think that probably will be coming either at the end of this week or beginning of next week, most definitely. So I cannot wait to see it, because I've got to start planning my time.
Yeah, same here. I work on Saturdays and Sundays, so I'm going to have to make sure I plan it accordingly when we get the schedule. Mm-hmm. And also, folks, we will be any DC nuggets that we get, we will be sharing them and discussing them here on the show.
I think you've already got your Tuesday episode of the following Justice Con already mapped out.
I don't know how much news we'll get from it, so it definitely will be talked about. But now we'll see what Zach brings, what Joe brings, what the various people showing up are going to bring to the.
I'm sure some gems will be dropped.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's that. I'm saddened that they took him out. I wish they didn't, just because you told me about multiverse. That was your thing, and because you're doing something with him somewhere else. Like we just complained about this with Deathstroke. I just don't. The logic always escapes me with that, Chris.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and there will be one day I'll hate it if he does not get his shot to play it, but that's sometimes how it works in this business, and if and when. But he is still, even though he wasn't on screen, he was Jon Stewart. Yeah, and did portray Jon Stewart. We may have not seen him, but no one can take that away from him.
No, no one besides WB. I'm just joking. We will see him.
That's the truth.
We will see him at some point. I just find it so funny that they had objections to this cul-de-sac movie, and like if you had intended for it to be that, I don't know why you would have any objections. Just let it be done. But that's besides the point. We're going to jump to one more news topic before we take a break. We're going to talk about. Well, we're going to go from the tales of DC development hell, and there's a plenty. There's a plenty, Chris. We've got two Cyborg film, Green Lantern Corps, but we might be getting that now. I don't even know what
Flash,
we're going to call that.
Maybe
Justice League's Part 2, 3,
Black Adam,
the Batman. I just can't. Wait, the Steven Spielberg. Blackhawks.
Yeah, Blackhawks.
So yeah, this is just another thing. We had a little talk about this in the chat, and I'm going to a point that was made there. I'm going to talk about, but what we are talking about is the Trench, James Wan's The Trench, and Ava DuVernay's The New Gods movies are not happening anymore. They're not going forward, and that was posted out with WB. And I want to say some of the outlets that WB gives exclusive interviews to have put there or speculated that because Darkseid was in Zack Snyder's Justice League, they wanted to distance themselves from that and from the fan community, and that's part of the reason why Ava's New Guy. I'm just going to stop because I can't even get that out. That's absolute nonsense. It's like a
who approved that copy to go out? Because I mean. Again, I have said it so many times. starting with with Walter Hamada, that whole interview, Sarnoff. At that point, I literally will do it every single time in our group chat. I will put the GIF of Brian Cranston going. That is what happens to the head of PR in WB. He's like, who approved this? You wonder why you have people that can't keep that job because they're so freaking frustrated by the BS that goes out there. It's just crazy.
I was gonna say the person that approved it, the same person that approved it was probably the person that approved and started off saying, "I have a friend. We have Walter Hamada, so we're good. We'll never have any issues ever." Like
Walter's oh my god, I can't even say it. What she said, it was so offensive on so many ways, and I'm white and I'm offended by it.
So cringe, Chris. So cringe. Same here. I'm waiting. I couldn't be more offended. I just think it's hilarious, that kind of stuff. Just hilarious that you would be that stupid. Sorry, not that it's funny. Just hilarious that you would be that so stupid to do that. And here, I'm not as broken out about the trench because if you listen to Fans Without Borders 200 episode, shout out to them for reaching 200, Brent and Ray. Brent made a really good point, and I was in kind of agreement with him. I more so wanted to see another cool trench scene in Aquaman 2. I don't think I personally, but I'm not a horror fan, and I'm pretty confident Brent is not a horror fan either. I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that. So I think that's in the same boat that I thought they looked cool. I loved seeing an Aquaman 1, and I wanted to see more of them in Aquaman, but I don't know if this show would have been for me. And I don't know how Diamond Dumps James Wan is about it. But for Ava and Tom King, they were out in full force saying that they were disappointed about this. I love how Ava had a very cordial. Ray wrote. Ray Porter was like, "Leave Ava alone. Stop pestering Ava." That's what he said. And she liked that and said he would have been nothing but a class act. But then she kind of let out of the bag that a decision was coming. And I just don't understand this, Chris. This is another one. Marvel has their new Eternals coming from Jack Kirby as well. So I don't know why you don't do this. At the very least, keep it in development and do what you do best, which is watch the Eternals and then be like, how can we make new guys exactly like Eternals, but not accomplish that in any way whatsoever?
I think that this comes down to, besides the BB not knowing which end is up these days, and how to our buddy Nathan, he and I were chatting a little bit on Friday about this, and it's one of those ideas that they had this idea, they had a plan. We saw the plan. We saw it, and then they got scared because of the quote unquote poor reception. Oh, it's not quote. It was poor reception to BVS at that point, and then they just stopped, changed everything, overreacted, and then we just, whatever the plan was, we don't know what the heck was going on. Like, people even question, is Shazam really connected? Because remember, like early on, it was like it's New Line, so it's we don't know. It's not really a film. Like, there was that unsureness, and then we kind of see in the film it's connected in that way, but. There, and as Nathan and I kind of talked about, it's just like, we don't know what the plan is. No. And I don't even think they know what the plan is. And so now they're just scuttling everything. And then you get this story that supposedly Flashpoint is supposed to reboot the entire slate at that point. I was like, okay, I can accept that, but you're overcorrecting, and you're making people say that, well, too many things like, oh, you should do it like Marvel. I don't want it to do it Marvel way, but I just want you to take a step back and say, okay, what is your plan? If Flashpoint is supposed to be the restart, okay, fine, whatever. Those movies still exist. We had them, whatever at that point. But, with New Gods, it was almost like, I don't think they knew how to market it. I don't necessarily think that I don't know if they never necessarily came out that said that they didn't like what was submitted, because I think both Ava and Tom King, even though Tom King in his own way, and to some extent, I think Tom King can be, and his runs are controversial, but I think obviously he got this job because of Mr. Miracle, which is outstanding. In my opinion, it's an outstanding story, but I don't know. My thing is, I don't know if they had confidence in themselves to figure out how they were going to market this movie, whatever Ava and Tom King were writing about, because this wasn't going to be, he even said this was going to be very focused on Mr. Miracle and Barda. And just like his comic, but I mean, his comic is very different. But again, it's in the off backdrop of New Gods and Apocalypse. So I think they got a little scared and they didn't know exactly what to do with it, and they'd rather just cut and run before they got really knee deep into it. But again, I was in the camp that after a while, after a year plus of not hearing really anything, and then Tom and both Ava, and I believe them that they were still working on it and they were still doing it, but it just seemed like it wasn't moving along.
Marketing and PR. That is exactly what I want DC to copy from Marvel. If this was Marvel, this would never have got out. This New Gods in development. It would not come out until they were certain that they were going to move forward with the project, in my opinion. And if it did come out, they would deny it. They wouldn't come out and say. But I think that there's a number of factors. I think DC needed wins. WB wanted wins back then. This was only, I want to say, 6 to 8 months after Justice League came out that they announced this New Gods thing. Mm-hmm. It was in 2018. So that was one thing. I think the problem, too, when you were discussing, I think how well Suicide Squad did and how much they meddled with that, I think that really didn't help things going forward, because there you go. They're like, well, we changed this completely. And I don't want to hear anyone not tell me that Suicide Squad was not a success, because
Academy Award winning Suicide Squad
and $750 million not being in China success. So I think that was exactly the worst problem. If that did like half of that, let's say bomb, I don't know if you're as confident with WB's decisions of cutting up and just saying we're right. So I think that did, even though I'm glad the movie did well, I don't think that helped WB when we know best.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, we haven't seen marketing yet for the Eternals. We've seen a lot of leaks. We've seen footage. We've seen like screenshots of different images, some of the not necessarily some of the toys, but touring. We talked about Marvel Alliance, the tours that was going around in different cities of what we would be talking about with the Eternals. But I think at this point, even though they said, "Oh my God, people are clamoring for it since Zack Snyder's Justice League," I said, yes, they are, but they don't know what they are dealing with. They want more of it, but in some ways, I think they just wanted to. I think that this is all pointing to they're cutting bait. They're literally, that's what this is all saying, is, hey, we have to have a fresh start. We got to do this right. We're just gonna scuttle everything and we'll say multiverse, but we'll see what that looks like after Flashpoint. Like I think the property, they're not worried about the Batman, because they just accept that the Batman's a whole different ball game, and that's quote unquote guaranteed money. Do what you want, be different. It's Batman. All you have to say is Batman, and people show up.
Yeah.
I'm not saying people wouldn't line up for New Gods, but again, it's one of those things where that outside of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the mainstream doesn't know, so they've got to figure out a way to market that. But again, Marvel was able to market Guardians of the Galaxy, so it is not impossible, and I think they can do it. They're playing so much in the sense of they're scared of their own. WB's scared of their own shadow, that they just don't. They're so worried that to take a chance, even like you said with Joker, when people say, "Well, what about Joker?" I said, "Yeah, but again, you and I have talked about this on tonight. It's like, look what happened to Joker. That wasn't WB taking a chance. That was WB like basically also trying to cut bait and leaving him on its own, and then basically, oh, they're taking credit for it. No, you're not. It had nothing to do with you.
It's only because Walter Hamada was new and didn't have as much pull as Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips together. And that's the only reason that Joker movie got made. And they basically pushed out financing to get someone else to finance the movie, and then you lose that much profit. Like, whoever made that decision should have been thrown in the garbage right away.
And look at the marketing. There was marketing, but I that was very haphazard marketing, in my opinion.
The grace for that was the whole like, do we really need this movie marketing from the mainstream media?
Well, I think the only marketing was like it's Joker. Like you see
Yeah,
Joker and people connect with that, but that's not good marketing. That's just saying you're putting out with the character that people recognize and have a title. you
yeah.
know,
You just got lucky that it was a fantastic movie because you and I both know you can make like great profit on movies that are just average if you market them very well. And these are things that, while I don't think any MCU movie is average. I'm sure other people will argue otherwise. I think that
I'll even argue that.
you can market them, any of them, just because of how how well structured they are. And just to see this mess at DC because they're talking about multiverse, but it's scaring. Anytime I hear Ian Sarnoff talk, it scares. And that's not. This is not a Snyder fan. It's not even for me. Like for the me want Snyder is for just keeping things organized. Because the way they're talking about it now is more so like the Marvel Netflix way, kind of like references, or you'll get a thing out here and won't be. No, I don't want that. I don't want things be. I do want things to be separate, but I want the ability to cross over. But you don't have to make everything connect to something, and
I,
that's what's very frustrating. It seems like they want to make everything connect to something right now, and that is a
but but
recipe for disaster.
but I don't even know if it's that because again, like what do we have out there necessarily that we have a lot of we have a lot of things in the fire, but we don't know where they're going because we haven't seen much of anything. Okay, we've got the Suicide Squad. This is we've seen the trailers, we've seen that. Okay, we know Peacemaker's being made. That's not coming out till next year.
No,
We don't. When's our next look at the Batman? Probably sometime this year. I guarantee we'll get another trailer. But that's not until we don't get that till next year. Now, we've got Flash's movie getting ready to start a production. I'll believe it when it finally happens. I'm excited about it. I just need, that's we can say that about every single movie at this point, but we don't have again. They don't have a concrete plan, and I'm with you. They say multiverse. I don't believe it yet because I don't know what's going on. You don't have to. I'm not one of these people. You have to tell me everything as a fan. No, you don't have to tell me, but I don't have confidence in what they're doing because all I see is just like we're planning this, we're planning Black Adam, same thing. Great, we've got casting. I know that movie's happening. I believe it's happening, but we need tangible stuff to kind of see this going on. But again, they say they want multiverse, but like you said, they're trying to fit pieces there. So either we're doing multiverse or we're trying to have connections, or we can do both. I'm fine with doing both. Like we have some connected stuff and then we have other one-offs.
yeah,
Prove it to me. Prove it.
Chris, I don't think they understand what that thing. I don't think they understand what the word multiverse means because I'm not asking for everything to be connected, and that's not what multiverse is. Multiverse is more you can exist here, you can exist here, you can exist here, you can exist here. But heaven forbid if we tell great stories for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and we can then set up a cosmic event where this Earth and this Earth and this Earth and this Earth have to come together. So we get all our favorite characters from these properties that you did very great stories on and told out well coming together. Because that's essentially what you want. Because you didn't want somebody to do a just 5 arc story. You want a universe built out, but you're just saying multiverse, but then you're saying, okay, this movie's going to connect this movie. Something in Flash is going to be called back in a TV show down the line or stuff like that. And that's the recipe where you get your Agents of Shield and your Marvel Netflixes, where you're referencing them, but the second Batman movie is not saying anything. Because as far as we know right now, Batman and Stargirl are on the same Earth, according to them.
Apparently.
They're both on Earth too, and I know
Apparently.
Flash could change things to the point where Earth Prime is the CW Earth, and Stargirl's on that Earth too now. But as far as I'm concerned, right now, and then you got the whole old JSA. They were around probably when Pat Bat was around. So how have he seen any of them? I have so many questions. You open up a Pandora's box for me of questions when you do these kind of things. And I just worry that I don't know, just doing the whole like multiverse thing, but connectivity. You're going to find yourself in far more hiccups than I've been 100 years away from man. I walked away from man for 100 years, so I think you're going to find a lot more trouble in what they're doing.
Yeah. So,
but we'll take our final ad break of the night. As Chris likes to say, these ads keep the lights on, and we don't know how loud they are. And if you're in Canada, I hope they're Wendy's commercials, because Wendy's is delicious, speaking from personal experience from the ads. So we'll be back short and sweet right now. And we're back. Okay, Chris, we're in the final stretch here now of the show. One more little news topic that I just want to talk about. It's not even really news. It's a little tease from Titans, a couple set photos, but the thing that I really thought was cool was the wanted ads in Gotham for Nightwing, Starfire, Gar, Superman, Superboy, sorry. And I'm trying to say, yeah, that's Blackfire. So Blackfire has her own, but she's in amongst them too. And Crypto's in there. I thought that was a really nice touch. We talk about it a lot, about them not being able to stick the landing because they did do it too. Do you have hope for this? Does this interest you at all, this little thing here? I know we don't have any context from this, but I also love the Red Hood Rises posters there as well. I wonder how much time is going to pass between the events of last season to the end of last season to where we pick up to. That's another thing that I'm super interested about.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, they got to choose something to stick this landing at that point. I mean, it's cool seeing these posters and making sure that, you know, everyone's featured, even Crypto, but show me my trailer at this point. I'm at the point to saying, show me the trailer and then we'll talk.
Stick the landing is the thing for me. Because I got sucked in last season, went on a wonderful ride until the end, and then felt silly, and not the silly that I feel when I watch the Suicide Squad, the happy-go-lucky silly, the you robbed me of my time silly. So, but now we got all kinds of cool things I can go back and look at, like the Nightwing costume and the fight with Slade. So, a lot of good there, but I'm really interested. I'm so scared with the Red Hood, like how they're going to do this. You would hope, bring in a Joker, even a double, like have Mark Hamill's voice or anything like that. I think would be such a cool little touch. I'm scared that they're just going to be like, he's sad and mad at the Titans, and that's why he becomes Red Hood. Because I'm just crossing my fingers that that's not the case. I'm so worried that that's going to be it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like I said, I mean, I appreciate what they're showing with these, the images, the character posters and stuff like that, or the first looks. But give me a trailer.
Yeah, same here. Ready for a trailer. Ready to see what Blackfire can do. So that was just that little bit. We have some listener questions. I'm going to save Mr. Snell's for... Actually, no, we're going to jump on Mr. Snell's first because it was the first one we received. And he asks, if Snyderverse isn't restored, and with the recent rumor Flashpoint is being used to reset for the universe, what are some of the top things you think not want? I love how you had to put that in there. Think not want, Travis. Will stay the same and or will change. So, Chris, I'm going to throw that over to you first.
What will change?
Yeah, and what will stay the same?
I would have to say probably, I think, a lot of stuff's just going to change. I think they would change, even though I think there will go back to not an older Batman. They'd go back to a middle-aged, younger Batman. And I think Wonder Woman might be the one that might maintain. I think that in WB's eyes that could be kind of salvageable in the sense of what Gal's done at that point. Again, at the rest, Flash continues forward. Flash will, we'll continue with, this version of the Flash. I hate to say it, Cyborg's not happening.
Oh God, no.
If not recast, in this.
Good luck with that.
I know Momoa will continue to exist, but again, like I said, I think the only reason we don't get Ben Affleck's Batman continuing on is just, I think they want a character that can, call it ageism. They just want a character that can continue, they can build towards.
They want their Tony Stark.
Yeah, they want that. And again, everyone else is capable of continuing on and moving on out. I think it's going to be Ben Affleck and, obviously Ray Fisher.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close to an agreement here. Aquaman is going to keep going forward, and Wonder Woman, they're not going to change at all.
They'll retcon basically a lot of things.
Yeah, that's essentially. I assume, even though I'm really hardly assuming, because we're going to get a Flashpoint Paradox style ending scene where we see him earlier in the episode interacting with Ben Affleck's Bruce, and then when he comes back after his whole adventure, it's going to be Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. That is what I think is going to happen. Fairly confident on that. Pattinson can be shot at any point in time. It doesn't have to be done next week or anything like that. That could be done a few months before the movie for really after we've seen what people have been doing during COVID. So yeah, I don't see Ben staying. Unfortunately, I would love to see I know all these things, like some of these characters can go off in HBO Max and do things now if they really truly believe in multiverse, but he's saying if this is never going to happen. So Superman, I think there's a 50-50 chance we don't ever see Henry Cavill again. But with The Rock in your corner, I feel like at the very least we could see him show up in that Shazam Black Adam universe. Yeah, you're right about Ray Fisher, unless, like I said, unless HBO Max comes calling, because there's already been numerous person of color writers and directors that have come out saying, like, I need to work with you on this. You were fantastic. This is so
I'd forgot to mention Henry Cavill. I think that's another one we're gonna get lost.
Yeah, which yet another. I wish
I didn't mean to forget Henry Cavill. It was just like,
well, we've been going through this song and dance for so long, Chris. It's not even when the actor has so much passion for the role and everyone seems to love him, just wants somebody else to try, like take the toy and play with it, and we can't get that. It seems like just pure insanity. I don't even want to think about that anymore. I would have loved to see an Adam thing. I think we could maybe sometime down the line. I think that's it for the. Oh, and Martian Manhunter. Sorry, yeah, that was a fun time there, Henry Lennox. I enjoyed it, but
it was fun.
Unless Snyder versus not restored, don't ever think you're picking that cake back up again unless it's animation. So, Snell, that was a bit of a bummer, but excitement too. I'm still really excited for the stuff they have going forward. I want to make that perfectly clear. Like, I just really like something else that I wish they would let me have content of. That's all. That's all I'm going to say right now. So, Snell, thanks for the question. I'm interested. I tell you one thing. After seeing Ezra's performance in Zack Snyder's Justice League, I couldn't be more excited for The Flash. I wasn't as excited until that really kickstarted my excitement back up again, just seeing his powers and that. So we have a couple questions from Tony before we end the night. Walt Gator 93. This is going to be more one for you because the listeners do know my little bit out of DCCW lately. Does Supergirl and Superman share the same fortress? He thought they did, but a recent episode of Supergirl feels otherwise. So I don't know if you're up to date on Supergirl, Chris.
Yeah, I am.
So what is he talking about here?
It seemed different than what it was at that point. There were just things that were said and things that were done. I don't want to give you too much at that point, but I just think it's just wasn't well written.
Yeah.
I don't see. I just kind of chalked it up as okay. They just didn't do a good job of making sure things aligned and things were talked about, because it's very clearly, it looked very different from what was in Superman and Lois and Supergirl this past week at that point. So,
and I think that it's also just the case of Superman and Lois. This is their first season, and the last thing that they are worried about is a couple lines or a shot or something they make look much more cool is not the same thing as what was in Supergirl. I think they're more of in the camp of the Batman. You do whatever you want to do to make this successful. Like, it doesn't really matter, and I think that's what it is here. Because I haven't heard of anybody guessing Superman and Lois from the DCCW. Now there are rumors of a certain muscular arm bodyguard, driver, an eventual vigilante showing up. So that's basically what's still holding my interest in the DCCW right now. Although I hear great things about Superman and Lois, but that, I guess, Chris pretty much said that looks like it's different. So the last thing Tony asked, and this is really fun that you're on with me, because we are reviewing this on World's Finest True Believers. Chris has to put up with me for at least 2 more sessions. He would like us to rank the years, the Injustice years from 1 to 5.
I've only done 3, so I can only do through 3.
I can do the full thing, so I will give mine first. My number 1 is year 2. I love the Lantern War. It was out of this world. Number 2 is year 1. Really enjoyed that, just how it kicked off. It was just such a different book. Year 4 with the gods, you're going to be in for so much fun with that, Chris. That's fantastic. Year 3, I didn't like that Taylor left, but still it was such magic. And John Constantine was fantastic. And year 5 wraps it up for me. It's just at that point I kind of knew where things were going to end up for the most part after playing the game first and then going back. So that rounds off my top 5.
I'm boring in this sense, but it goes 1, 2, 3. and the only reason 1 edges out year 2 is just because of what it established and the many. I'm not saying 2 didn't have shocking moments, but I think that it was just, it's like that first season, that first year. It just can't be. In my opinion, it hasn't been topped. Year 2 came close, but I think just because there were so many different ways they went in so many different directions, while year 2 was focused kind of on the lanterns at that point. So it was a cool idea, and it was still a great story, but there was a lot more different threats with year 1 as Superman progressively got more and more, controlling.
And anytime you close out a story, or a part of a story with your last action thing being Alfred beating up Superman, then I can't argue with anybody that puts that at the top of their list. So there may be another episode coming in the future when I not lock Chris down to get in and record in the studio again. I'm really excited about that. I love that book. Been hearing from my friend Nathan. He's been reading through, and he loves it as well. I think he bought the omnibus for it. But thanks for the questions, Tony and Travis. That's great. Love them. Put out a call because we had Chris here for questions. But anytime we'll take questions we'll throw them in there, even if it's just 1. So, Chris, I think that wraps up this evening. Tell the listeners where they can find you before we jet.
You can find me on Twitter at Chris Balga, World's Finest True Believers on Twitter at Finest Believers, and Marvel Alliance at Marvel A Podcast. Yeah, we're going live tomorrow. We've got trailers of our own to talk about tomorrow with 2
trailers.
Brent. Yes, 2.
This cat will be living in the chat like he normally does. Great show, love it. Miss Snell, of course, but I am just
he'll be living in the chat too,
and I'm eagerly anticipating his return. I love when the 3 of you guys get your Marvel Jam out. So that's it. Thanks for joining me, Chris. Thanks for filling in. As always, it's awesome to have you. Love chatting DC with you. Pretty much do the same thing when just privately chatting anyway. So it's just nice to record something for listeners. As always, you can follow along and have any of the podcasts with Geek Ultimate Alliance. Look up that on your podcast app of choice. And thanks for listening. Later, everyone.
Bye bye.